Hello everyone, and I'm delighted to be here with you. To be here with you at Worldwide Expert Uzbekistan Trade Finance 2020, 5 November 2020 online. And here I am with you in the virtual world, but you really know I would much prefer to be with you in the physical world, in Tashkent, because my heart is in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. Today my challenge is to present to you Incoterms 2020 rules of the International Chamber of Commerce. And my challenge precisely is to present Incoterms 2020 rules, everything you wanted to know but were afraid to ask, and all in less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Tanya? That's right, let's go. The Incoterms are a book of rules. Incoterms 2020 have a long history, first published in 1936, revised 7 times, and the latest version is Incoterms 2020, which became effective on the 1st of January this very year. When we look at the rules in detail, we actually see that there are 11 rules, 11 Incoterms, from EXW, minimum obligation of the seller, right up to DDP, delivered duty paid, maximum obligation of the seller. For each of the 11 Incoterms, there's a description of the rule in the book, and then this follows by an explanation of the obligations of the seller on the left and the obligations of the buyer on the right. When we look at the obligations, for the seller there are 10, for the buyer there are 10. A1 to A10, for the buyer B1 to B10. Key obligations are covered for example, under each Incoterm: delivery, when the seller has delivered the goods; taking delivery, same line, when the buyer has taken delivery of goods; transfer of risk from seller to buyer. Interestingly, under Incoterms 2020, the delivery of the goods and the transfer of risk in the goods between the seller and the buyer from place of departure to place of destination, port of loading, port of discharge, are aligned. Delivery and transfer of risk in the goods. Looking at the Incoterms in a little bit more depth and looking at the evolution over time. Incoterms 2000 had 4 Incoterms, DAF, DES, DEQ, DDU, which were removed, gone. These were replaced in the version of 2010 with DAT and DAP. DAP and DAT. DAP delivered at place, DAT delivered at terminal. A terminal designated secure area for the delivery of cargo. However, in the revision to the latest version of the rules, Incoterms 2020, what has changed? Well, the key changes are as follows. DAT is no longer in the Incoterms rules. This has been replaced, or should I say, has evolved into the rule DPU. DAT has evolved into DPU. Remember this. DPU, delivered, placed, unloaded. I will explain in detail a little bit later. Another key change is that under the old Incoterms, CIF and CIP, I standing for insurance, required insurance of the cargo, the goods, on minimum terms. But now CIP used extensively, as you know, for air shipments. And did you know air shipments in value terms nearly is now 30% of the value of global trade and growing. But CIP, the insurance requirements have changed. Now the requirement has gone up. It's all risk cover under CIP, commonly known as Institute Cargo Clause A for all risk cover. When I look at the Incoterms, we see significant changes, the renaming, and also we see bigger coverage in the Incoterms rules. And actually, a nice little point is the rules are written very simply and clearly, in simple, clear English, easy to understand. This is a very important point. Here I have an exporter, an Irish guy. He's exporting all over the world, from his own country, his own jurisdiction, his own law and regulations, to different countries, different jurisdictions, different applicable law. The Incoterm rules, comprising of 11 rules of 3 letters, provide the foundation for agreeing the contract of sale between the seller and the buyer in whichever jurisdiction or country. Here we have the buyer in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. We have the Irish exporter exporting to Tashkent. The goods are being shipped by air, different countries, different jurisdictions. Incoterms facilitate the trade between the seller and the buyer, their obligations under the contract of. We have rules for sea and inland waterways, so we can call that marine, and you can see 2 ships on your screen. So we have an Incoterm for every mode of transport, also including multimodal transport operations. When I look at the particular Incoterms rules, well, questions often arise, and in the recent COVID-19 we had lots of questions about force majeure. Force majeure, I guess that means a big force, an unexpected event beyond the control of the contracting parties. How does it impact Incoterms? Here is a case study, a real example. I'm sitting at my computer in ICC United Arab Emirates. I get an email with a query regarding CIF, named port of destination, force majeure. And I got the email from a lady called Ashi. So Ashi sent me an email, and we will zoom in to see what her question is about CIF and force majeure. Incoterms 2020. COVID-19 is problematic. I think we agree. We shipped goods on the basis of CIF. CIF port B, port of destination. Port A, port of loading. Port B, port of destination. Incoterms 2020. The goods were loaded on board the vessel, the ship, and we'll call the vessel Vin, because Vin is short and short is good. At the port of shipment, and the port of shipment, port A, goods shipped on board for shipment to the destination port, port B. Sounds normal, sounds simple, sounds clear. What's the problem? The problem is that due to lockout, or should that be lockdown, lockout at the port of destination, the goods could not be unloaded and the buyer is suffering acute delay in delivery of goods plus demurrage charges. Demurrage charges at the port of discharge because goods are not moving on. The buyer, so Ashley has a problem. The buyer is holding back payment due to force majeure at the port of discharge, which the buyer says, is unexpected and beyond his control as it is a state-driven lockdown for health purposes. We have all seen this, but what is the answer to the question? What is the answer based on the rules? So Ashley asked the question, what can I do as if the goods not delivered, we will lose our payment rights under the contract? Well, this is one of the reasons why it's important to have rules, because under the rules, CIF, named port of destination, the seller delivers the goods when they are placed on board the vessel at the port of shipment. So technically, legally and otherwise, Ashley's company has already delivered the goods once they are shipped on board at the port of shipment. So that is very important and valuable advice for Ashley. Force majeure, CIF, Incoterms 2020. It is important to know the rules. And this brings us to the brand new rule in Incoterms 2020. Remember, DAT, delivered at terminal, has evolved, or dare I say been replaced, but evolved is a better word, into DPU, delivered, placed, unloaded. Under DPU, you can see the seller on the left with the goods, the buyer on the right with the money. We want to do an exchange. We have 3 lines of responsibility: carriage of the goods from seller to buyer, delivery and risk which can occur between the seller and the buyer, and who is paying the costs. Well, under DPU, delivered at place unloaded, for example, I could be shipping to you or transporting goods to you, Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So it could be DPU, Tashkent International Airport, Incoterms 2020. So as the seller, I'm responsible for the carriage of the goods to Tashkent International Airport. As the seller, the delivery obligation and the risk in delivery stays with me till the goods are delivered to Tashkent International Airport. And of course, I must also pay all costs till the goods are delivered at Tashkent International Airport, including export clearance. And also very interesting, under DPU, delivered, placed, unloaded, it also includes unloading of the goods. But of course, if it's an air shipment, unloading charges are pretty much irrelevant. But if it was unloading DPU from a major ship with a commodity, well, you can imagine unloading charges would be significant. And under DPU, please remember, import duties, taxes, etc., if applicable in that jurisdiction, are for the account of the buyer. DPU, brand new Incoterms 2020. So my dear friends in Tashkent, my dear friends at the Worldwide Expert Uzbekistan Trade Finance 2020 online, thank you for your valuable time. Vin O'Brien, on time, every time. Thank you.